nice to see these big red buses in person.
They're
way bigger than you imagine.
Well, and also modern. I don't know why I thought they were all going to look like from 1958. It's the middle of July and it's a gloomy day in London. I mean, the place has that timeless feel. We're here to meet world traveler Pelumi Nubi. She's been to over 80 countries all around the world and is the first woman to drive solo, yes, solo, from London to Lagos, Nigeria, a journey that took 73 days. Okay, here we go. Today's drive to meet us is a piece of cake, you could say. We're only about an hour out from our hometown of Croydon in South London. And then like every other block, we're in Shoreditch, so it's like every other block is another awesome restaurant. Shoreditch is one of the city's trendiest neighborhoods.
I'm getting confused when I walk the street.
Oh, this is her. I found her. And it's one of the most culturally vibrant areas in London.
Hey, Pelumi.
Sorry to keep you.
No, you're good. How are you?
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Likewise.
Even so, when she steps out of the car, you can't miss her. On a gray, cloudy day in the city where everyone's bundled up in long black leather jackets, she's the one in bright colors with a big smile on her face.
Welcome to Shoreditch. Thank you.
I love how colorful you are. That's perfect.
Right then and there, I learned something important about Pelumi.
I know.
Can we jaywalk here in London? Or?
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I've been noticing
Both can
people
get
have no regard for traffic signs.
Wherever she goes, even if she's on her own, she's not afraid to be herself. No pretending, no bullshit.
The way they look at women, that's the one destination I wouldn't recommend to go as a solo traveler.
Traveling to over 80 countries might seem like freedom to some, but to me, true freedom is this: showing up as your unapologetic self, no matter where you go. I'm Michael Motometti, and you're listening to No Fixed Address, the world's most extraordinary people, presented by Matador Network. 2 years ago, I quit my job as a marketing executive and decided to travel the world with my wife.
Hi, I'm Vanessa.
And our baby daughter. We sold our home, our cars, packed a bunch of clothes into a small suitcase, and now live in a new country every single month. And something I've come to love about living on the road is the people I meet. So I decided to start a podcast. That way you can meet them too. Pelumi Nubi, Pelumi.
I like this song.
I love it, and I love this woman. She's a breath of fresh air. That smile across her face, you could see it from another side of a room. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Especially this 73 days of solitude from the UK all the way to Lagos. I mean, that is just something that has blown my mind. And we've talked to a lot of really cool people on this podcast.
We can all learn something from this conversation.
All I know is that I said this to her, and I'm going to say it to you. As soon as I put something into Google Maps and Google Maps doesn't know how to get me there, I'm not going.
You know what we should do? We should look up a route that says you can't do it and try it ourselves.
Absolutely not. No, not for me. And I'm not really a big road trip guy, as you know better than anybody.
Yeah, that takes a whole other mindset, I think, too.
But you love road trips.
Yeah, I love being alone, driving. For me, it's kind of like meditation.
To me, it's kind of like punishment. Like there's planes for this reason.
But how did you like London? This is our first time being there.
London to me is unexpected and expected at the same time. So there's a lot of things where I'm like, hey, I kind of felt like this is what it was going to be like. And then there was a lot of things where I was like, no way, this is so cool.
Yeah.
Like expected, people getting really drunk in pubs.
Yeah.
Expected, very expensive.
So expensive, Jesus Christ. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect to be that expensive. I mean, I don't know. I was expecting like New York vibes. And I know New York is very expensive, but I found this to be way more.
Unexpected. People really do just drink on the streets in front of pubs, which was pretty cool.
That's actually my favorite part. Obviously, there's a big drinking culture, eating culture there. But when they go to pubs, it's not relegated just to the inside. They just take their drinking all the way onto the street. And it's completely fine. It's a whole street packed with people with their suitcases and backpacks coming from work, sitting in between their legs, and they're there for hours.
Standing.
And you see that in Paris, you see that in other places, but not like this.
Not like this.
This is a full street parade.
Well, this really does tend to humans' needs to people watch.
My cousin lives there and we asked her, like, what's going on here? And she's like, hey, when it's good weather in London, nobody's going to be inside. Nobody wants to sit down.
Oh, the standing thing. My ankles were hurting by the end of that trip. I'm telling you.
Yeah,
everybody
you were.
was standing all the time. Well, I can't wait for you guys to hear this conversation with Pelumi Nubi. She is honestly, like I said in the beginning, a breath of fresh air. Her smile is contagious. Her laughter is contagious. Her vibrancy, her authentic being. She just sits there and she just is herself.
I love that.
I love that.
Pelumi is a world traveler, a content creator, and a tourism ambassador for Lagos, Nigeria. She was born there, but grew up in London, England, where she went to school and set out to have a career in biomedicine. After the pandemic, she decided to switch gears and travel full-time. She's the first woman to drive solo from London to Lagos, a journey that took her across 17 different destinations. Her story has spread like wildfire, inspiring people to live life to the fullest, even if it means stepping outside your comfort zone.
Just so you know, this episode is sponsored by Guide Geek. If you're booking a trip, check out Guide Geek, a new way to plan travel. It's an AI chatbot built on OpenAI, but what's cool is that it's actually curated by human travel experts at Matador Network, the world's largest independent travel publisher. I've been using it for a while now, mostly on WhatsApp, but you can use it on Instagram Messenger too. I often ask for advice on what neighborhoods to stay in when I'm booking accommodations, or you can get a little deeper and ask how Anthony Bourdain would enjoy a specific city. It's amazing. Head to guidegeek.com to try Guide Geek for free and start planning your next trip. That's guidegeek.com to start planning your next trip with your newest AI travel assistant. Welcome to No Fixed Address, the world's most extraordinary people. Pelumi, it's such a pleasure to have you here today.
It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
Pelumi Nubi, correct?
Perfect. That's good.
I practiced. By the way.
It shows.
We're in London today. Beautiful city. First time I've ever been here.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. You have a lot to taste.
Oh my God. I've been here for about 24 hours.
Oh my
in
gosh.
love.
Yes.
Yeah, in love with...
People come here and love it.
Well, before we get into the nitty, the gritty of Pelumi, what do you love about London? Tell us.
I love the fact it's so diverse. It's like a melting pot. Like you got so many different people from different parts of the world just coming to making this place their home.
But do you find London a melting pot or what do they call Canada? What do they call Toronto?
Toronto's a melting pot.
No. US is a melting pot. Toronto was like this
I want to say it's a salad. But
it was like a soup,
it's some
like
sort
a
of salad.
My point is this, I lived in America most of my life, but then I moved to Canada for 13 years.
Gotcha.
Now, America to me is a real melting pot.
I see.
Everyone becomes American. But in Toronto and in Canada, it was like, there was the Iranians, there was the Africans, there was the Jamaicans, there was the Colombians, and everybody embraced their own culture.
Yeah.
But we all got along very well.
Okay, this is the first time actually hearing that concept, and it makes perfect sense. And I think that's what I love about it, the fact that I can go to a certain region and feel like I'm literally in Jamaica.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or, go to Peckham, for example, before you go gentrified. But I feel like I'm in Nigeria. You can hear the language and, those kind of things. So you are right. There is definitely that immersion in different places, which I love because people do keep their identity.
You keep your identity,
They
right?
keep their
That's a
identity.
salad bowl.
Absolutely.
I just looked it up, guys.
Salad bowl?
Salad bowl.
Okay.
The different ingredients make a beautiful salad. So you have
What's
a little
everybody?
lettuce, you have a little
Yeah.
onion, and everybody is valuable because of their difference.
All right, I'm going to jump into something that I think I have been dying to talk to you about. One of your most recent journeys. Can you tell us a little bit about your road trip from London to Lagos? And the reason why this is blowing my mind, the first thing I did when I read about this and I saw the YouTube videos, obviously I'm a traveler. I go to Google Maps.
Gotcha.
Right? I go to Google Maps. I type in London, Lagos, and I type car.
Yes.
Error.
No route.
No route. So tell me about this. What inspired you to do this journey, and how the heck did it happen?
Yeah, a lot of people had that same reservation like you did. They're like, we are not stupid. Like, we can open the map. There's bodies of water. How?
I'm like, UK is an island. I'm like, what?
Exactly. So London to Lagos was inspired by me wanting to connect to a place I consider home. So I was born in Lagos, Nigeria, grew up in the UK. And each time I travel, which was almost during the Christmas break, December time, I left cold, winter, Christmas, 6 hours later, I'm in this toasty, warm home kind of vibe. And I was very curious. I think on one of my trips, like, what will it be like exploring more especially West Africa? I've been able to travel to East Africa and South Africa, but not the West so much. And then I saw Mr. Kunle. He did it by bike, a different route to what I did. But then I went down the rabbit hole. Has any woman done this before? And per usual, there was nothing. I was like, oh, come on. This was back in 2022.
I didn't even think a human did this before. Let alone a woman.
So it was so important for me to just, number one, representation within the overland community was just lacking for women that want to do this kind of solo adventure.
The what community, sorry?
Like the overland community.
Talk to me about
Overlander.
that.
So overlander is basically people that travel using driving.
Okay.
So most times they kind of like Caucasian, don't look like me, or group of people, or they were just not solo female black. It just seemed that category just seemed to not exist. And I was like, okay, we need to fix that.
You get on a car from London.
Yes.
You get to a ferry to France.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And from France, you drive all the way down, basically till you get the south of, I think it was it Spain?
Yeah.
And then
Spain.
From Spain, you take
Get
that
on the
short
ferry
over to Africa, right?
Exactly. So both ferries are an hour, 20, 30 minutes. So you literally drive the car onto the ferry.
Very short pieces of body of water, right?
Yep. Yeah.
Tell us about the most memorable experience you've had through that whole trip. Just give me one. You can't believe this happened to you.
There's so many.
Give me one.
So many. If you had to pick one, let's start from earlier in the trip. That was in Mauritania. Me riding the iron ore train. That stuff is incredible.
What was that? Tell me about that.
Okay, so iron ore train is nicknamed the snake of the Sahara. It's basically 3,000 kilometers.
So with the coal on top?
With the coal on top.
You did that?
I did that
way.
by myself. I know.
Wow.
So it's basically it's 3 kilometers from they mine the iron ore, and they're taking it basically to the ocean bit for shipping and all that stuff.
How many kilometers?
3 kilometers.
Okay.
The train. So
the train.
The train itself.
Yeah, okay.
So it's pretty huge. So when it's coming towards you, and it doesn't have a particular time it's meant to arrive. They tell you a rough time it's meant to come. And this was I was hoping it was before sunset, but it came in the thick of the night. Oh yeah, it's just It's like this huge trailer.
How did you get on?
I crumbled down.
You ran while it's going.
While it was moving. But it stopped for a bit. But then there was a miscommunication with my guide, because at the end of the train is a normal carriage. Is that the best carriage?
Sure.
Yeah.
Where passengers go on, but I wanted to ride on the ore itself. It's this thrilling thing. So it's for the thrill seekers. If you love adventure, this is something you want to do.
I've seen it. Yeah.
It's epic. And I think it's going to be something that will drive tourism towards Mauritania in the nearest future. So it was like, oh, you have to pay this money and get on the... I was like, no, I want to get on the carriage. So I was like, this train is not leaving me. So I left him and I started running so I can go to the carriage. I scrambled on. And I got in.
And you're on top.
I'm on top of the...
It's cold.
It's cold. Before you go on, you have to get some particular gears. Exactly.
Blue wrap. Yeah.
You have to get a ski goggle.
It's almost like a hijab.
It's almost like a hijab. So they wrap it around because the coal is literally coming in your
goggles
face.
Too?
Goggles, clothes that you probably want to chuck away because you get that filthy. One blanket because it's quite cold. But under the stars, just incredible. Wow. And you wake up the next morning, you're literally in the middle of the Sahara. You just got this train.
How long was the trip?
12 hours.
12 hours up there?
Outside?
Yes.
On the coal?
I had
Did you sleep?
I could barely. I was trying to. I don't know. I read that the train just goes directly, but it actually has a couple of stops. So the first stop, I was shitting myself, legit. Because I was like, we are being ambushed. This is it, Pelumi. You have overdone it. You've done too much. You should have just stayed in your house.
Or the carriage.
Not knowing they were loading on a camel, guys. And the camel was making such a noise, you think someone was being stabbed. So I was, again, imaginations are very wild for me. So I'm hearing this screaming noise, thinking it's passengers or something like that. And I'm like, oh gosh, you have overdone this. Thank God. I just saw flashlights and I saw I was like, oh.
I heard-
You saw it in the end. You saw
Finally,
the
I
camel
saw
coming.
it.
I heard a cow being born one time, and I was traumatized for the rest of my life. So just
Can you
being
imagine?
on a coal,
On the go in the middle
with
of the
a
night
camel,
with a
like-
camel noise squeaking. But yeah, it was an epic adventure.
And you were alone, Pelumi?
I was alone.
The
I
whole
was
time.
the whole 12 hours.
You know what I love about this is I ask her what's her most memorable experience. She says, "Oh, it's too difficult," and then she tells us this story. I'm just thinking, how many
How
other
many more?
stories?
There's so much more. Like,
know
this
what I
was
mean?
hard to pick.
Like, to me, that seems like the pinnacle of any
Yes,
journey.
That's an easy number
so
one.
much more. So much more went down.
What was your favorite country or city or location during your travel? I know it's such
To
a hard
drive through, like any road
wherever
trip.
you stopped, whatever. I mean, I know it's a hard question
Yeah.
because we travel quite a bit as well, and everyone's like, "Where's your favorite place?" It's like
It's so
you
hard.
can't say it.
Yeah, it's so hard. Obviously, bias. It would be Lagos when I arrived. Obviously, it's like,
Yeah,
whew,
what's your
we made
family?
it.
Yeah.
Families there, all of that. But in terms of where I was driving, I was like, wow, it was Morocco. Morocco's landscape is stunning because I came in, I wanted to see, for example, I can never say the word Chefchaouen. It's like the blue city of Morocco,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Stunning place.
missed
And
that,
then I went
actually.
to Fez. Fez was
Yeah, we saw
incredible.
Fez too, yeah.
And then I went up the Atlas Mountains and you're literally on this squiggly road. I've seen so many videos and stuff like that. I remember the 4x4 just going past me and they were like, "You peasants, what are you doing on the road?" And I'm doing my 5 kilometers per hour just driving
Well,
so
actually,
slowly.
I have a quote from you.
Go on.
When I crossed into Morocco, I broke down in tears because I had this huge anticipation. I genuinely felt like I may not make it, almost like a public failure was something that I was even more concerned about rather than a personal failure. And when I did, it just like, wow. If I had listened to people, I would have never made it.
That's it.
Talk to me about personal failure versus public failure. I think a lot of people deal with this.
Yeah. As humans, we are not scared to fail. We are mostly scared to fail in front of people because it's almost like shaming. It means that we've been excluded from this collective group that we like to be part of. It's like you're an outsider. So that we repulse it and we just try to avoid it as much as possible. This trip became very public very quickly. I was just like, where are you guys coming from? On social media, I was 12,000 followers. Within a week of announcing, we grew to 100 and 200,000 just on IG. These went to then TikTok and Facebook and YouTube, another platform I was on. And I was like, this is a lot of attention, a lot of eyes. What do you want from me? You know, there was just that. And then everybody had questions. How are you crossing to Morocco? And with Morocco crossing, it became quite daunting because there was no exact information how to get my car through it. I remember reading one place, different forums and places I was researching. And sometimes they were like, you needed the original receipt of the car that you bought it. I bought this car 5 years ago. There is no receipt.
Oh, wait, you weren't sponsored by Fiat?
No. I didn't hit them up.
I keep seeing you say Fiat.
No, it was Porsche actually. It was a Porsche 107.
But Fiat, you better call her. Because I'm about to buy a Fiat right now. But Morocco specifically is a hectic place.
It is a hectic
People
place.
don't really talk about that. They talk about the romance and the hot air balloons and the Medinas.
Yes.
But it's hectic, especially for a woman, too.
It is hectic.
I was going to ask you that because in Morocco, there were times where I felt, I had some bad experiences, but there were times where I felt really isolated because there were no women in public space after a certain hour.
Yeah.
So it's just you and like hundreds of men.
Yeah. I even had a negative experience in Morocco, and I spoke about this in my YouTube channel. I remember, because I went up the Atlas Mountain, it got quite cold. So instead of camping in my car, which I normally did, I took a room. And I remember the guy was like, I can't remember the exact pricing, but it was almost like, if you get the room, it's $50. But if you get a room with a massage, it's $30.
Jesus Christ.
And I was like, come on, dude. I just
Wait,
want the
wait,
room.
the guy wants to massage you?
Yeah.
That's
sorry.
something. No, it happens.
That's like really creepy. I don't mean to
Really,
laugh.
really
I'm sorry.
creepy.
It's one thing if a woman wants to massage you, but a
No,
guy...
it was just the way they look at women is the sexual kind of. That's the one destination I wouldn't recommend to go as a solo traveler.
That's what she said
Yep,
too.
is the place I like go anywhere else but Morocco.
And I didn't have an issue because look at me.
You wouldn't
I'm
have an
bearded,
issue.
Like I
and
look like
even if you travel with someone else, you don't have
Yeah.
an issue. But once you're solo by yourself,
Yeah.
they just target
But I also
you.
like wherever I
Absolutely.
go, I look like
might-
from that place.
Oh, okay. I thought you were saying I might kill someone.
Like maybe obviously if I
Like, don't mess with me.
maybe if I don't go to like Nigeria, yeah, they know. But I'm just like if I go to Greece,
That's so
Italy,
true. Oh my God, now that you
Spain,
said it, I can literally see your face morph into the place.
so
I
like
can't unsee it now.
people just talk to me in that
That's so
language. You know what I mean?
true.
And plus, I'm a very large, hairy man. Like no one's trying to attack this.
Yeah.
You know what I
That
mean?
bit.
No, it's a different experience for us,
Yeah,
obviously. And
yeah.
the massage thing actually happened to me in Morocco too.
Yeah.
They did what?
I got lost, but and people would call me
Yeah.
in different corners.
Yeah.
Oh, your house is this way,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
come for a massage. Or like, no,
What?
no, that street is closed.
Yes, I got that street is closed. I remember my first time in Morocco. It was very much, I'm looking for direction because you're in the Medina. There's so
Yeah.
many,
I got lost in the Medina.
Yeah, and they're like, oh, that road is closed, but I'll take you to go to the other corner. Oh, you have to pay me now to keep showing you where you're going. I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just turned back around. I was like, this is just crazy.
Oh,
So
good
there's
for
just
you.
there's just a lot of things that women have to navigate in terms of solo travel, which it's sad, but
Yeah.
it's the reality of
Like
things.
on a whole, on like a holistic level, what sort of impact does a trip like this make on a person?
It changed me.
Physically, mentally, like it's like
It's absolutely changed me in terms of what I believe is possible or not. Like this trip was crazy and I was able to finish it. So there's this self-belief that is unbeatable. It's
I'm
like
giving you an air high five right now.
because it's so real. Like I remember, I always tell like athletes and stuff, Usain Bolt, like you cannot tell him he cannot run a certain time because he's done it, There is that self-belief that just skyrockets, There is that kind of like, wow, you just need to trust yourself because I got a lot of naysayers. I got the people that opened the map. I got the people that like, with a Porsche 107, that stuff is a city sprinter. There's no way you're going to make it through the Sahara Desert, blah, 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 blah. And I did. Barely, but I did.
If you're enjoying No Fixed Address, the world's most extraordinary people, we know you'll enjoy Travel That Matters. This season, Travel That Matters is interviewing master chefs like Wolfgang Puck and Danny Meyer, the founder of Shake Shack. Wolfgang Puck talks about his culinary adventures, including the time he was presented with 120 pounds of camel meat, and delves into how his love for travel has shaped his innovative approach to blending local ingredients with international flavors. Danny Meyer explains how childhood travel experiences shaped his restaurant empire and explores the power of family travel, the culinary scene in New York City, and innovative trends in food. Step into the exclusive world of luxury travel on the podcast Travel That Matters and open the doors to top food, adventure, and experiences. Find Travel That Matters wherever you listen to podcasts. I was reading an article and you said, traveling as a solo Black woman is a triple whammy, quote unquote. I'm traveling solo, I'm Black, and female. It doesn't get harder than this.
Facts.
I mean, I'm getting emotional just saying it. So I want you to tell me a little bit about that. Like, what does that mean to you?
I think, as a Black traveler, there is certain expectation in terms of what we can and cannot do. Places we can go to and cannot go to. I remember earlier in my travel days, just traveling to Eastern Europe, I got bunch of messages. What are you doing there? We don't go there. They're so racist. And
By
it was
other Black people.
By other Black people, almost like a caution warning.
Yeah.
When I do get there, I see the reason why they are wanting me because I am the odd one out. I am the looked at, taking picture. I had hair back then, hair pulled, and just in curiosities most time.
So we don't need to pinpoint any country specifically, but you're saying that this is recent. This is 2018,
2019, before the pandemic.
You go there and they would almost look at you as if it was some sort of show.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember being at the airport one time and I have been in La La Land and this was a kid, so we'll give him grace. But I think I stood too still or I was looking into space, knowing you're just into this immigration queue and mind is off. And I just see someone like touch my skin and run away. So I would move and you could see the visible shock on this kid's face. And I was like, huh? So I smiled and I waved to him, and he literally runs his mom back, and it was almost like he has never seen a black person before. Wow. It was that shocking for him. Like he thought I was a statue in Manic or something like that, and he had to clarify that I was real in some capacity. So I knew immediately in that moment that we need to be more in those spaces, that there's no way we could change the narrative. There's no way we could, and yeah, it's not our job to educate and stuff, but I feel like there is definitely work to be done in certain region. You know, as a female, there's, you know, we spoke about just being sexually harassed.
Yeah.
So many times during the London to Lagos trip, it was, where's your husband? Where are you going with, why are you by yourself? I'm like, a woman needs a husband to travel? Where was that written? In which book, you know? Mm-hmm. And then it became, okay, I'm by myself. Then it became, give me your number. Give me your number before you're allowed to go. And I handed people my number in the fear of, just let me go. I could block your number later, but
so please. That's the double whammy right there. I mean, the triple whammy is a solo, but the real whammies, in my opinion, are the female and the black. Yeah, right? Definitely. Because you're telling me about hardships that even in Africa, people were, I'm assuming this is in Africa.
This is in Africa. This is not, where's your husband? Right? There's that expectation that a woman cannot go on adventures. There's that expectation of you need to be at home with the kids and have this this role that once you step out of it, once you decide to do a drive or not be with a husband at this particular time, you are like looked at like, are you crazy? Like, what's wrong with you? You know? So yeah, there's definitely that layering of then,
But as a Black person, have you ever felt like extremely unwelcomed, or was it more about like this surprise, never seen a Black person in a European country? Like, have you ever felt that feeling of like, oh my God, like this doesn't feel right to me right now? Like full on races, calling me monkey and stuff? Absolutely. Yeah, I've had the direct one. I've been fortunate that most of them have been quite subtle. And I sometimes live in my own bubble where even when I'm with my friends, they're like, oh, did you see the way that person looked? I'm like, when? You know, so I am blessed to have that. But they have been call out like, no, you're not meant to be here or something like that. And how do you deal with that, like personally?
And
the reason why I want to get into this conversation is because I feel like it's important for any race to hear this. It's not about being Black, white, Middle Eastern, Colombian.
Sure.
But like, people need to hear the impact that this stuff makes on people.
It does. And I guess for some people more than myself, I think over time I've built up coping mechanism whereby it doesn't become the thing that leads my trip, because you're paying to go to this destination and you want to have a good time and you don't want it to fester in your brain, but it does affect you. You're human. You have the emotions. You feel excluded and you feel like you need to be someone different, but this is not something you easily change. It's my skin tone, you know. I cannot wake up. Exactly. So it's like, I can't wake up and change who I am. So, and I don't want to wake up and change who I am. But yeah, it's definitely can mess with your head. And some people have just vowed not to go to that region or not to explore. And it's like, you've just excluded yourself from experiences you can have. And I don't blame them.
Because of fucking assholes.
One of my best friends used to be a travel blogger, maybe 10 years ago. She's Black. And she told me the story that somebody asked her, why do you do this? And she said, as a Black woman, I like to occupy spaces where we don't typically are seen.
Absolutely.
So, you know, like the backpacker community used to be just white guys, like traveling around. And she was like, no, I want to be in that community. Yeah. I want to just be taking up a seat and standing there and people seeing me.
Yeah. Representation really matters.
There's a bigger mission there, I feel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of leads to my next question. Like, what advice would you give to future young Black travelers out there? Like, what would be your number one piece of advice?
Look, if you want to do it, travel. It's one of the most rewarding things I've ever done for myself. It teaches you lessons that cannot be taught in the classroom. And it's very easy to fall into the trap of Googling things and being like, oh, this place is excluded from me. And that's fair, but you need to go to those places and experience it for yourself. And again, representation, we spoke about this, is so important. And if we keep saying we're not going to go to these places or do these things or do these activities only for certain race, then we'll never have space in that
change.
table. There'll be no change. But when they're forced to look at us taking up space, and they have not this, no one can beat me if I'm in a plate. What are you gonna do? I'm here. What are you gonna do? So I think standing that ground and being intentional about it. I remember when I was starting my travels, I was very concerned about going to these places. They were like, "Oh, you're going to places that I can't even pronounce." Yes, because we need to be here. We need to be in these spaces. That was definitely something I'll go. Be audacious, be brave, go there and make up your mind, be informed, be safe as well. Take the step that you need to take if that is needed. But just be safe.
Well, what do you think about, and this has nothing to do with black, white, or brown, or whatever it may be, but like it kind of piggybacks off what you're saying. I'm just curious about your opinion on it. Like when we go somewhere, or specifically me, I'm a little bit more self-conscious. So I kind of assimilate, right? And she notices it. I'm trying to be a local.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm trying not to be an American in this case, loud, abrasive, whatever it may be. Do you find that that's the right way to travel? Or does it just be yourself and, let them deal with it? Like, what do you feel about that?
I'll say, as there's that saying, when in Rome be a Roman. Like, I feel there is some cultural norms you should respect, especially as a woman. Some culture expects you to be a bit more preserved when you do your dress and conservative and those kind of things. So I say definitely respect the culture and the norm. But don't change who you are. Like, if you have a loud laugh, you don't need to timid yourself. Like, be you, but just be respectful also. I think you can be both. I think you don't have to totally be so different, but also you don't want to wear bum shorts in a religious place. Like, it's just disrespectful.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to a non-black female traveler that's encountering, that you're going to a place and you're feeling disrespected? Do you have any advice to give someone who is an asshole, or is it just stop being a racist asshole?
Yeah, I think just call it that. I think sugarcoating it, and when they're hurting your feelings, they're not sugarcoating it. They're giving it to you that way. So just be like, not disrespectful, but this is what you're doing and it's wrong. I think just call a spade a spade.
So advice is stop being a racist asshole.
Racist, literally. Look them dead in the eye. I'm like, stop being racist. And they're like, oh, flustered up. And I'm like, okay, I've said what I needed to say. You go home and sit on that message, and hopefully you do better next time. That's all I'm saying. I'm not going back and forth with you.
Whether you take it or you don't.
Exactly. I've said it, and hopefully you just be better.
Yeah. Now give me my pasta.
Exactly. Don't spit in it.
All right, I want to talk about something that really resonates with me on a really, 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 really high level: following your dreams. Right? I've always been one to follow my dreams. I've never shied away of doing what I want to do to be able to get to my goals. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why you fell in love with me, maybe.
Maybe one.
Maybe one.
Find that motherfucker.
But, you were studying to be a
Biomedical
science. So I had the undergrad degree in biomedical science.
Okay, so talk to us about this journey.
So finished from high school, did my A-levels. So I did biology, chemistry, and psychology. I just love people and how they think. So that was like a little thing I love doing. And then going to uni, I was like, med school or not med school. Science, but biomed is kind of like a very broad science degree. So I'm like, okay, let's keep it open, keep the options there. So I did biomed, went 2 to 3 years program, finished with a first class degree. And I was like, oh, wow, what's there in the future? And while all this is happening, I'm traveling. I'm one of those uni students. I did not go clubbing or anything. I was Friday. I was in Stansted or British or Birmingham or London catching a flight.
Wasting your money on nothing. Just flights.
Those flights, like shout out to them cheap airline. Before Brexit happened, it was literally 10 quid, 20 quid.
Now
I'm looking at I'm like, $200. This is to be 20 quid.
Okay, let's not paper. Okay, so you're going to university, you're traveling.
So I'm traveling, like I'll take the red eye fly on Friday, do my weekend in a foreign European country, come back on a Sunday night, ready for lecture for Monday. That was my life. And it was so cool. So finished uni, I was like, okay, what? I did working for a little bit. So I was doing genetics testing with skincare, like matching it up genetically. And then I was like, okay, I love genetics and I want to do more on this. So I did a PhD in cancer research and human genetics. So it was all, I was just very curious, baby. Like, I've been curious. I remember talking to my mom, I was like, what was I like a baby? And they're like, you just wore your diaper and went around the house. That was you. You were just low-key. So I think curiosity has always been my thing. Just like mixing stuff up and finding new things. And I think that's what travel really kind of gives me, just that newness of things. Then the pandemic happened and I lost everything. I faced the pits of depression. Like literally my whole 3 years work was gone. And how do you bounce back from that when your work become your identity? When you become what you do, like literally. And that's a lesson for me now, even with London, Lagos and the accolades and stuff like that. I'm just like, oh, this is just a part of me. This is not Pelumi. It's something I do. But yeah, so it was sad because we're all confused. Like, but it also created that reset of what do you really, really want, Pelumi? Like, you're great at science, you're great at research, but there's this thing, travel, that has been nudging and pulling at your heart for so long. Why don't you give it a look? And I'm like, yeah, we can't go anywhere though. So what we're gonna do about this, new epiphany, This is not the time. This is not the time, But the timing is never perfect. That's something I've learned about life. It's never perfect. You just need to almost leap. So I was doing a lot of staycation. Staycation became the buzzword.
Or is it always perfect?
That's it. Depends on how you look at it, isn't it? So yeah, that's a good one. Damn, I had to sit with it for a second. But yeah, like staycation became like the thing and I was so excited about it. And then I co-founded a magazine called The Black Explorer. So, oh wow, I really love just sharing my travel experiences, but also working with other Black creators, Black travelers. But we just found that within the main medium, within the main kind of space, there's not
represented.
No.
Yeah.
You go
especially in travel, right?
Especially in travel, like in-flight magazines. There was just nothing that I would flip through. I'm like, there's no one that looks like me in this 30-page worth of travel, inspiration. I'm like, this isn't right. So we kind of like wanted to work creators, pay creators. That's another thing that was important. Sometimes we work, but we don't get paid. So it was just something that we are paying creators. We're really trying to put the message out there that we too travel, we go too. That became exciting. I just fell back in love with traveling. I started leaning more on social media, posting more, creating that community. Even though people couldn't travel, they loved I was posting like old content and it was just like, wow, traveling from home, like the same way the books inspired me when I was much younger. I was able to leverage social media to do the same for other people, just inspire them that one day we can. And yeah, I was on that first flight once they opened up those borders. I was like, I'm out of here. And yes,
the rest is history.
The rest is history, like they say.
Wow. So you left everything behind in the medical field to travel the world.
You could say that. It's easier said now. But it was more like that kind of, now it sounds very linear, like, oh, did you do PhD? But no,
it sounds sexier this way.
It sounds much sexier now. When I read the headlines, I'm like, yeah, that's not the truth, but
Well, I mean, I think we can only segue to this. 80 countries?
Yeah. And counting.
That is absolutely crazy. We've been traveling.
80 is wild.
Yeah.
We've been traveling for the last 2.5, 3 years, maybe 25, 30, maybe. Because we stay a long period of time.
Yes.
We have a kid. And so we just
nice and slow.
We stay, we breathe it in. Mm-hmm. We didn't ever have that kind of mission to like just
go to
bang
everyone.
it out.
Yeah.
Which I think if we didn't have a kid, we probably would.
Yeah.
I think at one point before the pandemic happened, I actually wanted to be the youngest Black female to travel to every country in the world. So that was a goal I was going for.
Can you still make it?
No, not anymore. Which is okay. It's too big. And also, I just came to that realization, like you said, I love spending time in these places. And that's why London to Lagos wasn't just a drive. I wasn't trying to win any Guinness record or something like that, because I could have gone to apply for...
How long was that drive, by the way?
74 days in total.
74 days?
Yeah, 74 days.
Out of the 80 countries, what is the most underrated places? Tell me a couple underrated places no one talks about.
Within Africa, as a continent, I think the continent for us is underrated. People still assume it's one country.
They always think safari too.
Yeah, and they just, at least safari, they assume there's multiple countries within the continent. You get people, I think someone's looking at them and they're like, what's the capital of Africa? And I'm like, Really? We're going to have this conversation? This conversation ends.
I'll tell you one thing. If I was an African country,
Gotta walk away.
I would definitely rename my country called Africa. I would get the most visitors.
Exactly. Like, I'm going to Africa. Like, okay, what?
London to Africa, that country.
That's a really good idea. Nigeria, do you want to adopt that? And get people in. But yeah, it's so hilarious. But within that, Namibia was really, really incredible. It's like being on the moon. It's so not so densely populated, at least compared to Nigeria. I think it's like 10% of our population. And it's just stunning landscape. You go there.
It's like otherworldly.
It's like out of the world. Like if you're thinking of shooting like moon-like stuff, like it was got red rocks and just emptiness, like vast. I was driving for hours and just not seeing any. It's amazing. It's definitely underrated. And I talked about Mauritania again, somewhere that most people don't tend to go to. So that's another place I recommend. Within Europe, I say definitely Eastern Europe. So Montenegro, Albania, definitely Slovenia, all of those places. People go to Spain and France and like those are cool, but go to other, like it's just such amazing.
We spent a month in Montenegro last year.
Yeah, and Slovenia was one of my favorites.
Love it. The Balkans, just enjoy yourself there.
And the food's cool.
The food is good.
Like the people are a little rough around the edges, but that's Eastern Europe.
It's Eastern Europe.
As soon as you have a beer, you cheers them, you smile.
They're good. But yeah, I would say it's affordable luxury. You're really immersing yourself. You don't need to. I think with other Western Europe, I feel like I need to go down the rabbit hole to find those culture immersive thing. But in those other Eastern Europe, you just once you touch down, you're like, oh, this is very different.
And it's not super crowded either, too.
It's not. They get a lot of sunshine.
Like you go to Rome.
Yeah. It's like,
I'm like,
Lord.
I need a shower. I'm like, stop touching me. I got so much OCD.
Like, no, pass on those space.
She's like, let's get on the subway. I'm like, no. Like, I'll pay extra. I just want to go in the car by myself.
I feel you on that. This place can be very overpopulated. Like over tourism is definitely a thing in those regions.
But you're a Lagos tourism ambassador.
I am.
So what would you recommend people to do there?
Lagos I love because a lot of people
Lagos or Lagos?
Lagos.
Sorry, I've been mispronouncing
that's
it.
Okay. Lagos, Nigeria. Yeah. So it's the unofficial capital of Nigeria, basically. Abuja is the official one, but because a lot of people, population-wise, get more in Lagos, it's hustle, bustle, it's a vibe. If you like Afro music, food, there's basically a month called Dirty December, which is basically December time, which is like all the top artists go there. But Lagos has this blessing of just being...
It's called what? Dirty December?
Dirty December.
I love that.
So it's like a whole thing. Like people save up all year to go to Lagos Dirty December time. It's like, just have the best time. Exactly. Man. Like this is the time to not miss going to Lagos. Like get your ticket early because closer to the time you're paying a large sum to be there. But the food, go to Nike, which is like an art gallery, absolutely amazing. Make sure you go to like a buka where you can get like local food, get your hands in there. There's always going to be concerts.
Is that traditional African dish you're talking about?
There's so many different ones. There's amala, get abula. Abula is basically the brown.
It's very viral on the internet. It's like
mushy.
Yeah. Mushy. Oh, that looks so good.
There's like amala, there's pounded yam. This is all like from my tribe. But the thing about Nigeria is so diverse. We have the top three, which is Igbo, Yoruba, and Hausa, but there's other tribes. So I'm speaking just from what I'm familiar with. But there's so much. That's the thing. Food and cuisine, there's just endless supply. Like you can eat something different. Same here.
Every tribe has their own
thing.
What is your number one advice for doing long road trips? See, we travel quite a bit. We talk to a lot of people who travel quite a bit, but I have never spoken to anyone, male, female, black, white, purple, okay, that has done a road trip as long as yours. Yeah. What's your number one piece of advice?
I have so many. Again,
give me a couple.
Okay. You need good entertainment. You'll be in that car for a long time. So download your favorite podcasts. Download your Audibles.
No fixed address.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Make sure that you are... And it doesn't need to rely on the internet as well. That's some mistake people make. Like they get the download, but you need Wi-Fi to be able to listen to those things. No, it needs to be on your device.
So number one piece of advice, download your entertainment.
Download all your entertainment.
Number two.
Back. Your back will hurt. You need those cushions.
Braces.
Make sure... I was thinking more cushion, but
my dad wears one of those, so I have a couple of them if you want.
Make sure you have good back support.
Okay, so lumbar support, number two.
Definitely.
Number three.
Number three, blackout curtains are your best friends.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because you're keeping all your gears. This time I had cameras and just valuables. You just don't want your cars to be reflective.
While you drive, you have them blackout curtains?
The back, yeah. The front?
Really?
No, not the front. Come on. The back, because you can park for lunch and stuff. You just don't want someone to take the opportunity and break into your car because they can see like a camera
did you ever
right
sleep
there.
in your car?
I did. I converted it. So I was watching 4x4 videos, and at that point I had high hope I'll get a 4x4, but that didn't come to pass. Yeah, I called the camper. Yes, I did.
To a camper.
It's a camper. I got someone from Tax Rabbit, and we got like a plank of wood, and we put it, and I bought like a mattress from Amazon, 30 quid, cut it to size.
See a picture of
That's what I was just
so
thinking.
cool.
I need
Like
to see a
it's
tour.
so. I have it. I have videos of it, so don't worry. I'll share.
Mentally, what's it like doing that long road trip? Because we road trip together sometimes. I'm totally fine. I like 9 hour, 12 hours.
Yeah.
Michael, 2 hours in. He's
You're losing it.
35 minutes.
I have to drop him off on the side of the road and be like, please reconvene yourself and come back.
Yeah. I love solitude. I think maybe I'm built for maybe this life. I do like my own company.
You're lucky.
I do still go crazy a little bit. You know, there's some I'm talking to myself, I'm like, girl, you need a break. Like, you know, when you start having personal arguments, you're taking the wrong road.
People who like driving like being by themselves.
Yes.
Like Vanessa's like that. My mom is like that. Dude, I'm like 35 minutes in. I'm like, bro, I need to see a
Get me out of
psychologist right now or something. Something's wrong here.
I think definitely it's very mentally. I'll say it's not a physical. I'm not running marathon, but your brain, your mind, you need that level of enjoying self company or something. But yeah, it wasn't too bad.
A sign of a higher being.
Yeah,
not to look
I didn't
down.
want to say that. But we're like the supreme. I was kind of keeping it like
I almost feel like that's a polite way of saying that you need help.
you peasants.
Yeah. Are you being very pedestrian?
I think it's a nice skill to be able to sit with yourself in silence for so
A lot
long.
of humans can't, and that's why people don't enjoy solo travel because they just.
What is this? Is this an intervention? Some sort of fucking intervention going on here? Is that what this whole conversation was about?
We finally got to the bit where we needed to get to.
So,
She called me up earlier on and like told me.
This has been such a great conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here. I have one more question, and then we're going to go into what we call the speed round. It's 4 questions.
Okay.
But first, how can our listeners learn more about you and your work? Where can they find you?
Instagram is one of my biggest, most updated platforms. So pelumi.nubi, pelumi.nubi. So you get all the 80 plus country tips, hacks, all of that good stuff. We started rolling up content on YouTube. So if you're like, I need to know the teas about London's Lagos, like the details, I think we got to day 40 something. So you got content for days in terms of just kind of seeing the breakdown and all the kind of, short videos that just help you travel better. And if you have any question, hello@peluminubi.com, just send me a message and I'll respond right away.
So if you could live anywhere in the world, where would it be and why?
Oh, this is hard.
These are going to be hard questions.
I don't want to live in one place. I am a nomad in heart. I think I'll constantly be on the move.
What are you most scared of?
Oh, I think I don't want to finish life not living every chapter of myself. Like I want to finish life with, girl, that was a ride. Like you did everything, you experienced everything. So I think my biggest fear is, number one, living a life that is too just focused on me. I definitely want to live a life that impacts other people. And that's why London to Lagos really resonated, because it wasn't a case of, Pelumi London to Lagos. It was the emails I got from, parents that said, look, my 10-year-old daughter, 12-year-old daughter is talking about traveling and adventure. Like that seed has been planted too as well. It was the teachers that's like, we ditched the school curriculum. We're just talking about your bravery. I still get tagged in schools. It's the 70 years old, 80 years old women that like, I was told I couldn't do this. I had these goals and I told I couldn't do it, but you've just given me permission to try and restart life at 70. When life become more expansive and bigger than yourself, I feel you've truly lived. So I think my fear is just to only keep my gift to myself and not give it to other people. So yeah, I just want to do more of that.
What is your biggest regret?
I don't want to be those people that say I don't have regrets, because yes, everybody does. I think my biggest regret is sometimes at some point in my life, I have known that this part is not for me. And because of what people would say and what people would do, and that sunken theory, oh, I've put so much time into these, I have not been brave sometimes to walk away from those situations. Now I'm better, I'm smarter, I'm older. I just know that, look, life is short. Nothing is guaranteed. We pray to be 70 and 80 and have grandkids and retire.
You never
know. But you never know. So if you feel within your gut that I shouldn't be in this environment, I shouldn't be doing this thing, move quickly.
Last question. What makes you happiest?
I think when I am my most authentic self, when I am in situations like this where I can share my story, when I am able to give people the permission to live their most authentic life, when I can be childlike, when I'm not met with judgment, when I am seen and not kind of put on the side. There's so many moments, sunsets. Oh my God, I love sunsets.
But I love that first answer. I never heard that answer before.
Which was that?
This idea of like when I can be myself.
Yes.
When I can express myself.
I think
fluidly.
Yeah. Without judgment.
Yeah.
I think we live in a society that wants you prim and proper and perfect. And I want to be goofy. I want to be odd and strange. And that's why I love my friends, because if you just come, people are like, what did your parents think about London? They are used to it. They're used to that crazy. Like, I want people around me that are used to my crazy, because I can be more crazy. And I always tell people, look, crazy is such a big compliment. It means you're doing something that someone cannot even comprehend. So they tag it and box you up as crazy. But you are out there living that life. So yeah, I just want to be my true, most authentic self, because some people most times are not given that permission to be that. We are just,
Well, two things. One, I get complimented every day though, because
you go crazy.
People call me crazy every day.
Yes, yes to that. I'm like, we're in July. If nobody has called you crazy this year, you are playing it too safe.
Oh, it's mostly on a daily basis for me.
Really?
I think I might be a little bit over the spectrum.
No. It's never too much. Never too much.
But I want to say that the second thing is that I love your answer, because what I took from it, and one of the coolest things about these conversations that I'm so lucky to have with such extraordinary people like yourself, is that I get to get these awesome lessons. And what I took from it right now was that what makes you happiest could be in any situation.
Yes.
Right? Most people, even myself, might say traveling or, a nice sunset or a really great meal, right?
What if you can't do those things anymore?
Exactly. Your answer was, as long as I can be myself without judgment, and I can laugh my hardest, and I can be with my friends, or be with someone that I love, it doesn't matter what I'm doing. That's what makes me happiest.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for coming on the show, Pelumi. It's been such a pleasure having this
such
conversation.
Such a nice interviewer.
Oh my
so
God.
Pleasant to
Thank
speak
you.
with.
I
Really
appreciate
nice.
that. Pelumi Nubi. What did I tell you? Isn't she absolutely amazing? Thank you for listening to No Fixed Address, the world's most extraordinary people. This is presented by Matador Network.
Subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We release new episodes every other Thursday.